Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Tuesdays with Dr. T. Today I'm going to talk about the third pillar, which is lifestyle for autism, recovery and brain development. And specifically, I'm going to talk about the few things, actually, I think 7 things that you can do to ensure that your child has a better chance of recovering, of having brain development, and how to work through that with gut health. So, first of all, what is gut health? Gut health is the health of the gut, which is actually starting from the mouth until the anus. And why is it important? It's important because here's the thing. We only think that the only function of gut is to eat, digest, absorb nutrient, and excrete. But here's the thing. Gut does more than just digesting, absorbing food. What gut predominantly does is that, apart from that, a child's gut or a human gut in general, it produces enzyme to digest the food. It absorbs the nutrients, yes, but it also helps with the processing of the nutrients, which is in turn going to the brain and causing the brain to function either better or not good, depending on the kind of food you are having or the child is having. And then another thing is sleep is regulated, mood is regulated, hormone health is regulated. Yes, your child might not be an adolescent, he or she might not be having periods, but every human being needs some form of hormone. So there are lots and lots of hormones that everyone needs, and specifically kids, whatever age they are, they also need some hormones. As hormone health is also connected to gut health. As you now know, or you have been following me for a while, when I was first speaking about gut health connected to the brain development and autism, I was always laughed out. I was bashed. I was made to feel like a moron. But alhamdulillah, 5 years forward, like 6 years, I would say 6 years this year, 6 years fast forward, people are more open to understanding gut health. People are more open to understanding how lifestyle affects a child's improvements and development. So that is now better and easier for me to talk about all of those things. All right, so what are the few kinds of diseases that a poor gut health can actually create? Here are the few things that research over the last few decades have already proven that if the child or if human beings' gut, whether a child or an adult, gut health affects mental health. If your child is having obviously lower understanding, communication problem, not able to express their needs or expression in general, like they're angry or sad and things like that, or being cranky, meltdowny, tantrums and things like that, all of those things falls under the criteria of mental health, right? So gut health affects mental health, gut health affects autoimmune disease, endocrine conditions, gastrointestinal problems, cardiovascular problems, cancer, you name it. Even diabetes is also a gut disorder, by the way. What are the 7 signs of an unhealthy gut? According to Healthline, which is like a modern version of, and the easier layman's version of Google Scholar, says that many parts of modern life can be affected by the gut microbiome, including stress level. If your child is getting stressed easily, having tantrums and meltdown easily, that is also an indication of poor gut health. I do get lots of DMs from parents asking, Dr. T, how do I know my child's gut is actually not working well or it's acting up? Here are the signs. Number 1 was stress levels. Number 2, if your child is having problem in sleep, if he cannot sleep well or stay asleep, doesn't want to go to sleep earlier, it takes a lot of time for you to put your child to bed, that is also a sleep issue, which is connected to gut. Another thing that is connected to unhealthy, signs for unhealthy gut is not enough immune functions. If your child falls sick very soon, very fast, frequently, then that is a very good indication that your child has unhealthy gut. Another thing is if your child weight is either very less or a lot, weight issues, and then also other diseases or developmental delays are now connected to gut health. All right, so now I want to tell you guys the 7 things that you can do starting today to help your child's gut health via lifestyle changes, because lifestyle is the fourth pillar in our 5 pillars to autism success. You know, the protocol that I have built for my son predominantly, and then now I'm teaching for the last 5 years. We have graduated, alhamdulillah, 387 people, and more than 95% of those kids have recovered to an extent which is not seen regularly, not experienced regularly, more than 90% improvements, alhamdulillah, and a lot of them have lost their diagnosis. How can you do that for you? Number one, you have to make sure that your child's stress level is low. Like I always say, a stressed brain never develops to its full potential. How you can manage that? Your child's stress predominantly comes from you and your husband, as in like the parent, the people around his surrounding. That environment 100% affects the stress level of the child. So when the child is in a stressful environment, it increases cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone which affects the mood, which affects sleep, which affects how your child is focusing on things. And therefore, stress levels are affected by the cortisol, and you have to work on that. How can you do that? First of all, what we teach inside the program is to work on your own mindset, your own trauma healing, your own emotional stability, so that you can take better care of your child. When you are upset, when you are depressed, when you are anxious, when you are angry, you will rarely be able to work through your child's emotional needs, because you yourself are in a big emotional roller coaster yourself. You have to first take care of you, because your child will also mirror your attitude and emotional stuff, because they have mirror neurons. Number two, you have to ensure that your child is sleeping better. How can you do that? First of all, if you work on the gut healing diet and you are doing proper detox, your child will automatically start sleeping without any chemicals or medicines and things like that. You can try magnesium. Pretty much any form of magnesium works, glycinate, thionate. But you have to make sure that you are working with somebody, because if you're not a biochemist, if you're not a doctor or a pharmacist or a nurse, it will be a little technically hard for you to dose how much you should, and because of your child's need and age and problem like that. But magnesium oil that you can put on the body, you can do it without a doctor's consent. So magnesium oil helps, banana peel water helps, and things like that. Also, a good probiotic will help. I will leave the link of the doTERRA essential probiotics and all the other things that we use inside the program in the description. Check that out. The third thing that you need to work on your child is the diet. So I speak a lot. I have a lot of videos. I'm not going to talk a lot about it. It has to be a grain-free, casein-free diet, and it has to be rich in probiotics. All right, the fourth thing that your child needs is to make sure that he or she is hydrating very well. So hydration should come from water, still water, which should be spring water or at least filtered very nicely. And then hydration can come from real fruit juice, things that you make at home, not from packaged and stuff. If you are buying packaged, you have to make sure that it's the best quality, no added sugar, not from concentrate, and things like that. Another thing, the fifth point is you have to add a probiotic. Like I said, the link for the probiotics that we use will be in the description. The sixth point is check for your child's food intolerance. When we work with a mom and her child inside the program, what we do is we often ask the parent to do a food intolerance profiling, so that we can understand which food the child is intolerant to. And by the way, gut health disorders and gut health issues actually creates intolerance. Otherwise, human beings can actually digest a wide area of food. And a lot of the times, father asks the mother, we have been eating rice for entire thousands of years. We were fine. Why should I stop rice for my son? The reason why you should stop rice for your son is because your child has gut health issues, digestive issues, and your child cannot digest the food as nicely as you used to be able to, or you are currently able to. Okay, so finding out the food intolerances helps you to navigate through this stuff, because when your child have a food intolerance, and if that child is having those same food, then there will be toxins, neurotoxins in the body and the brain, which will affect cognition and all of those things. So food intolerance is not same as food allergy. Allergies are more visible. You can see rashes and itching and things like that. Food intolerance causes bloating, abdominal pain, diarrhea, gas, constipation, fatigue, acid reflux. So all of those things, if your child is having, then your child have some form of food intolerance. So get it tested. The last thing that you have to do is, seventh point is, you have to make sure your child is sweating a lot. So you should take your child outdoors. He or she should play on the ground. Grounding without socks or shoes best, but I know we are in Canada, so we cannot do that grounding thingy. What I used to do is, if you can find grounding pads or grounding shoes, you can buy those as well. And anything that is plastic, if your child is wearing plastic underneath the shoe, or the shoe sole is made of plastic, then there won't be grounding, because plastic, remember, what is grounding? Grounding is actually the extra electricity that your body has. It goes through the ground. Just like the third pin of the 3-pin socket, which acts as earthing, it's the same thing. If you are wearing plastic, just like if you are trying to touch electricity with plastic, you will not get shocked. Why? Because plastic doesn't allow electricity to pass through. So when you are trying to calm your child's hyperactivity by grounding, and if you're sending the child with their shoes on, they are not grounding. They're physically active, that's fine, but they're not grounding. So you have to make sure the grounding thing is going on. And another thing is, make sure your child is sweating with a lot of vigorous activities, a lot of running around. Those are very, very essential, because sweating is as much important as other detoxification processes, because sweating can remove as many as 30% of the body's toxins, which is free. You don't have to spend anything. Just make sure your child is sweating. And if your child is sweating, make sure he is hydrating. Anyway, so those were the 7 points from me for today, to help you understand the importance of holistic health and holistic lifestyle as the 4th pillar of autism success. The 5 pillars to autism success, that's the 4th pillar. And Ramadan is going to end this week. We are sad, you are sad, I am sad if you are Muslim and if you are following the Ramadans and whatnot. And I said I did a little bit of a support system, because March is generally tax time for North Americans, and I know most of the people in my followings are from North America, are from Europe, where March is usually the time when lots of people do their taxes, right? So when you are doing tax, you don't have probably the money extra to join the programs, even if you want. And I didn't want you to lose the Ramadan bonus. So what I have devised is this. I don't want to do the regular way people are doing business or marketing, pushing. I don't want that. I want to be more holistic. So what I have done is, I have given an option that when you join my subscriber list for Serenity newsletter, which is completely free, I will leave the link in the description. Then after you become the member of the Serenity newsletter, then you book your clarity call. Even if the call is booked or you join by April, I will still honor the Ramadan bonus for you, because I don't want you to miss out on the fabulous 33% extra coaching, 7 extra one-to-one calls, and all of those things, which will ensure that you get faster, better results, better service, better experience, and a lots of help, so that you don't feel alone at all, and you can get the best result that is possible. I will leave all the links of the program and everything in the description. Check that out, and I will see you in the next one, which will be after Eid, for the 5th pillar, which is need-based parenting. See you again. Bye.